What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, we're going to talk all about reusing your soil from previous years, how to do it safely and effectively to save you money. Let's go. So we're going to be tackling a couple different topics here. The first is the most popular question ever, and I think this has to be number one or number two in our list of most popular questions that we get asked. And if this is the only answer you're looking for, you can click away after I give it to you. But if not, you're going to learn a lot. I guarantee you're going to enjoy this episode. The most popular question we get asked is, can I use my soil from previous seasons? The answer to that is yes. So if that's all you're looking for, yes or no answer, click away, you got your answer. Make sure to subscribe on your way out. But if you want to stick around and learn a lot, we're going to be breaking down that answer into subcategories, sub-questions, because yes, at face value, yes, you could use this soil from season to season. However, there are some things that you want to do and some mistakes that you don't want to make when reusing your soil from previous seasons, and there are 4 that we're going to talk about. So not only are you going to save a lot of money, you're going to reduce how much soil you have to buy from year after year, and you're also going to have great quality soil that you're going to be able to grow in, but you want to do it safely. So we're going to talk about nutrients, how to get the nutrients back into the soil, because as a plant grows, it takes nutrients away. And if you continue to grow in the same soil over time, nutrients become depleted and you're going to have inadequate results. We want to talk about disease, we want to talk about pests, and we also want to talk about soil structure and soil texture. So with that, let's talk about the first one, which is soil texture and structure. So we've got this pot here, and this was growing a pepper last year. Now, it's always important to dump all the soil out. I don't care how big of a container it is, it's super important to dump it all out because the bottom of the pot is going to be slightly compacted. It's going to be a lot more degraded over time than the top will. Now, what we want to do is break this apart and expose the plant roots. Now, these plant roots will degrade and break down over time. However, a lot of times you'll have like this, okay? This is the old plant roots. Now, you could take some of this stuff. The stuff over time is going to rot and break down. But you got to hear an old stem from a pepper plant or whatever plant may have been growing here. That can get discarded. The roots, they're going to degrade and break down. That's totally fine. They'll just turn into compost. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But you have here the soil. Now the soil, if you're going with a really loose, well-draining potting mix with good perlite, good vermiculite, there shouldn't be too much compaction. But over time, you'll find that there will be some compaction as that starts to break down and degrade. So what you want to do is you always want to take about 10% of the overall volume, right? So pretty easy. Break this pot up into tens. You want to imagine how much soil that would be to fill the pot back up. And so we're going to take that, we're going to add fresh. That is what you want to add fresh. So this is the same potting mix, just brand new. Came right out of a bag. We're using Pro Mix. This is the soil we use, but it also has some expanded coconut husk fiber. This is a really great coconut husk fiber. We sell this over at MIgardener.com, and it adds just this incredible, fluffy, beautiful, moisture-holding texture to the soil. So we've added a little bit of that into this mix as well. That is going to fix the texture, because again, when you add unbroken down, unweathered, fresh potting mix, it's going to refluff that soil and give it that airy, beautiful texture that you were looking for. That's the first thing. That is the first thing. You always want to dump it out. A big mistake I see people making is just working into the top. That little bit of soil does not address the bottom. That's where the problem usually occurs, is the bottom. So dump it out into a tray, give it a good flip, a wheelbarrow or whatever. Give it a good flip with some fresh, fluffy soil, and you're good to go. We'll put it back in the pot, and then it addresses the next question, which is, well, okay, I'm using soil that I used last year. What about disease? So if you had disease, let's say it was blight, or let's say it was powdery mildew, those occur regardless of your soil. You are going to have blight or powdery mildew regardless, because those spores are floating throughout the air. They're soil-borne, meaning they come from the soil. They are on every continent except Antarctica. And so if you have blight or powdery mildew on your plants, you're going to have it from year after year. The best way to prevent blight and powdery mildew is preventatively. Spraying your plants down as a preventative with a baking soda solution, baking soda water solution, or with taking like a copper fungicide, or even heck, just keeping your plants super healthy and stress-free can help to cut down on disease. So disease is not a concern. Now, if you were worried about, like, let's say you grew a squash plant in here and you wanted to rotate out a different squash plant, that's fine, but I've never noticed a problem growing even the same crop. I've grown tomatoes in the same pot, same soil. My mom did, believe it or not, for 10 years. She had the same pot sitting on her back porch that grew tomatoes every single year. She just did this exact same thing, just refreshed the soil up, dumped it out, worked it up. It's good to go. No issues whatsoever. Now, the third question is, what about nutrients? Well, so the nutrients are gone. We've grown a plant here. Nutrients have been taken out. We're going to add some more nutrients. So we're going to use Trifecta Plus. Now this pot here is a 7-gallon pot. And because of that, we're going to add roughly about a cup of Trifecta to the 7-gallon pot. We're going to work that in. And that is all the nutrients that this pot will need for the entire growing season. That's just based on how many nutrients we put in, how many nutrients a plant will take out. And that is refreshing and revitalizing this entire pot right back to where it should be, plus some. There's not going to be any nutrient deficiencies throughout the growing season. And if there are, we can always come by. We can always top dress on top, scratch it in, give it a good water, and it should be good. But that addresses the nutrient issue. Yes, when you grow a plant, the plant does take up nutrients from the soil, and a lot of people make the mistake of seeing potting soil that has nutrients in it. There's like a little granules they're fertilizer granules that say feeds up to 3 months or feeds up to 6 months. Yes, a lot of potting mix does have fertilizer already added, but after the first growing season, or after halfway through the growing season, those are often gone and depleted, and so you need to add some more fertilizer. That does not change from season to season, but that brings the nutrients right back up to where it should be. And the final concern that a lot of people have with reusing soil from year after year are pests. Now, obviously, if you have pests, that might be a different cause for concern, but oftentimes that's simply resolved by planting a different crop there. So if you had something like squash bugs, yeah, maybe that is a concern. A lot of times squash bugs, though, they are migratory. So the squash vine borer will fly around, lay an egg in your squash plant, and then the eggs will lay dormant in the soil and they'll hatch. Then the cycle will happen all over again. But that may have happened even without rotating your crops. If you were to start completely fresh, that might still happen. If you were growing a tomato and let's say you got aphids, okay, well, aphids, yeah, they will lay dormant in the soil. They are a nuisance, but they may also have happened regardless as well. Like they may have had ants that carry them up and bring the aphids to your plants regardless of freshening them up. But in the event, I would say pests are one of the only crops where there's additional kind of concerns, simply because you can have host plants that they will colonize. Whitefly, spider mites, mealybugs, those are ones where I would say maybe refreshing a larger percentage or maybe all of the soil, or growing a different crop altogether that's less susceptible to those pests would be a better idea. But when it comes to most pests, I'm not too worried about it all. I think they're seasonal pests. They come and they go. Some seasons are worse than others. I don't let those bother me too awful much. And that really honestly is the reason why I can save so much money, is because I don't refresh my pots year after year. I dump them out. I work in about 10% fresh soil into the mix. I add in my fertilizer back in. I put it back in the container and I'm ready to grow. So I hope this really helped. I know that this seems very simple and self-explanatory, but you'd be shocked. You might even be the person that have asked me this question. This comes up especially once people start talking about container gardening. I would say 10 to 15 times a week. That might even be low. It is hands down probably one of the most common questions we get asked. And so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to throw a like up there. If you were inspired to repurpose and reuse your soil, comment in the comments box down below something along the lines of, thanks, Luke, I'm gonna reuse my soil now, or something that helps me to know that I helped you. I appreciate that. That encourages me, because yeah, I love to know that I'm helping people. That's the whole purpose of this channel. So as always, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. All right, take care, grow bigger, bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I wanna thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting MIgardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care.